Now, hello. I am internet personality Ginzaki. This is the Midnight Gaming Podcast. I am here with Eddie Phoenix. I believe that is what you would like to be known as.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, and we are here to discuss the latest uh, comings about in the gaming world. We're going to start with a standard bearer of the future of the news of gaming, because we're going to be hearing about this for the future for a long time to come, and that's Diablo 3. Everyone knows about the infamous Era 36, the limited capacity of the day one servers. Huge disaster. I mean, how could I can't say how could this happen because of course there's going to be a lot of wait on the servers the first day, people getting the games all at the same time, trying to play out at the same time. It's not right to expect um, uh, the company to actually have servers that they won't need in the future. Um, this of course leads to issues. One of the big ones was that Battle.net went down on that day. And Battle.net, for anyone who doesn't know, is the system through which you play any of Blizzard's games online. Um, so if you were playing StarCraft 2 or World of Warcraft during the Diablo 3 thing, you got screwed because you were kicked out of your game because someone else's game didn't work. Uh,
Oh,
oh yeah,
I-
horrible.
as someone who isn't the biggest Blizzard player because I'm a little bit broke to be playing online games, hearing these kinds of stories and just hearing the horror stories that have been going around the internet, and plus, you're gonna see memes for time to come because if there's something that goes bad in the gaming industry, hey, you can make a meme out of it. Let's take a look at Mass Effect, for example.
Oh yeah, I've
Saying,
talked at length about the Mass Effect in the past,
but
and I'm still waiting for something to turn in that.
yeah, let's not have any spoilers where that's concerned in case for those who might be listening
Oh
who
yeah, I've got a review
done it.
about that if people want to know.
You can find that probably in the box
Gaming
below.
review section, yeah.
Yeah, game review section at the Midnight Forums.
Yeah, midnighttcg.com for anyone who's interested. Trading card games, video game reviews by me, and the home of this podcast.
Yes. But the error in and of itself, like you said, you really can't plan for. And one of the main things that you could possibly try to do, maybe prevent it in the future, is to maybe stress test those servers a little bit harder. I mean, I know there was a beta test for it. I know it was very limited opening. Uh, I can't put an exact number on it, but I know it was well over 10,000.
My thing with it is that I don't think they needed to necessarily do a stress test. They just needed to make it aware that they knew it was going to happen because that's what a lot of people uh, didn't think about. And if they said beforehand, this is going to be an issue, people wouldn't have been as angry. I mean, there would have still been people who are angry, but they would have been the loud minority.
Yes, but there's bound to be hiccups or any kind of issues day one on almost any game you're gonna have
Oh yeah,
maybe
it's
bugs or issues, but
yeah.
so you're gonna have a vocal minority or just a vocal majority when it comes to just anything. So
Oh yeah, this game, 12 years in the making, and then this happens. It not a good publicity move, but people were talking about Diablo 3 at least, so
yeah, I
they
mean
got something out of it.
everybody knows it's a good game right from the jump. So I mean I've heard rave reviews about it. I've seen so many personalities through my Twitter feed blowing up about it. So it's really one of those things where it's a great game once you can get past the errors.
Yeah, like it's been several days since release, and now everything is boiled down. The servers are at capacity or below, no problems,
So,
except for what I'm about to bring up, and that is you have to. The reason these issues started is this is not an MMO. This is a single player game with multiplayer options. And the big problem came there in that uh, you have to be on the server to play the single player. And they did this to keep people from cheating the real money auction house to make money with hacked objects.
which
So,
which they
yeah,
have delayed again, or at least
exactly.
they delayed it. So,
hmm And the problem that's created is that you're playing a single player game and you're getting lag along with the inability to go AFK for more than 10 or 15 minutes, or the game will just boot you so that they have server capacity. So, is it really a single player game at that point?
not by the sounds of it. For me, that would really really piss me off because I'm playing this game as a single player experience, not for the like if I'm a gamer who's playing Diablo. I'm playing it for the single player experience and enjoying that, not wanting to get myself kicked out of a server for that matter. I mean, you don't see that kind of thing with Xbox Live where it's like, "Oh, hey, you're playing on this server and or playing your game one player and whoop, there you go. Off Xbox Live you go. Your game still goes on." It, it, even
But
like
what
for
about
PSN as
that?
well.
The idea of consoles getting rid of physical medium in the future and essentially becoming a box with a Steam-like service on it. This could be the future of gaming. Single player on server. If you're away for too long, boom, you're gone.
It's one of those things that it scares me because that's not how I want my gaming experience to be. I'd rather be able to be a if I want to play, if I want to walk away from it for like if I had to go downstairs for something or anything like that,
hmm
I would want to be able to walk away from it and not have the fear of coming back and going, "Hey, you've been booted from this server." Well, dang it.
Exactly. It's a problem not just with Diablo 3, but this could be the future of gaming. And I'm not really liking the look of it. It's
I
annoying.
I don't think a lot of companies are actually going to probably take the plunge where that's concerned. So I don't think many gamers have to worry about that. So it could be a give or take. So you never know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
think
depends
it's
on the game and the company involved. Because the reason Diablo did it is because there's a profit margin. That real money auction house, they make money every time someone buys something.
yes, and that'll probably that's what will probably drive people to maybe want to do that, or developers to maybe do that, or just companies in general.
Yeah, the
But
attempt to make money.
it's up to make the holy dollar. But if it's at the expense of really bending your fans over and angering them, I think what you want to do is you want to keep your fans happy and
Oh
not
yeah, only
do that.
Blizzard could get away with this at the moment. No other company has this kind of clout to
Activision,
abuse its fans, and they still love them.
Activision.
Hey, that too, and to an extent, EA. That Mass Effect 3 thing. You got all the people who
Yup.
the opposite of butt hurt.
Oh yeah, it was pretty angry. So, but we'll not touch that. That's for another time.
Oh yeah, that could be an entire podcast.
Oh yes, it could.
Moving on from that, though, we got the I believe it's Microsoft versus Motorola, or who is that? The ones that are trying to ban the sale of the Xbox.
I did see that earlier this week, and that really did intrigue. That really did intrigue me when it came that storyline came across my Facebook feed. because I do follow Xbox through the Facebook thing.
Yeah,
One of the
go ahead.
one of the things that really caught my eye was the whole they're going to be they may be banned from importing Xbox 360s from other countries. That with the current lifespan of the Xbox 360 getting ready to die out, why would you feel the need to import other consoles from other countries? That's my very first question.
Oh, exactly. And Microsoft's also making a good buck on the Xbox Live Marketplace and just fees for its to put video games on its console. They don't really need the sales of the console because the 720 is coming soon.
Possibly
Probably not
next
in the
year
yeah,
or
possibly
the
next
next.
year. I'm thinking 2014.
That's early 2014. That'll be more along the lines of the E3 speculation that
Yeah,
will come next time, I believe.
yeah, and so I don't think it's going to be a problem for them. Also, the one thing it will impact is they wanted to implement a system in which you could get an Xbox like a cell phone. You get a contract with Xbox Live, and you get an Xbox for like a fourth of the price. So,
That was through their own Microsoft stores. You would go
yes.
in, you would take a coupon, go inside, present the coupon, and they would set up a system where you were able to get the Kinect, the Xbox 360, and Xbox Live all bundled together for I don't remember the exact prices right offhand because I do have a breakdown from another website as well, but I have to pull that up real quick. But
Yeah, when I saw it, it was $99 for the bundle, but you have to pay the monthly Xbox Live for so long, however the contract is.
well, that's a good thing for some people who might not be able to just be able to drop like $299.99 for an Xbox and then the $25 extra, like 25 more for 3 months of Xbox Live, or the $59.99 for the extra year and everything like that. That may be a good system for like a payment plan, just kind of like a layaway deal.
Yeah.
It's a good idea in a sense, but
My,
you're
the
only making it limited for right now.
and the thing I find uh, is with a cell phone, you can shut it down and turn it into a brick if the person stops paying before the contract's up. Would they implement a system into the 360 that would do this?
I highly doubt it, though. I mean,
Exactly.
sure, you can turn off the Xbox Live part, but you can't turn off the system part where they keep it and they're able to play Xbox games. I mean, hey, they can disconnect the Xbox from the internet and not even have to use that part of it. They can just keep the Xbox for the $99, but I'm pretty sure they have some kind of system in for like a rent to own style, but that's a tough call.
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder if it's worth it because someone could just scam you on it, and that's the way I look at it.
I mean,
Um,
yeah. Okay, I can't find that flipping story wherever I want to find it. So, bleh, to it.
but yeah, the thing I have to wonder though is, does Microsoft even deserve this ban simply because of a, I guess, codec issue, an encoding or decoding? Ethically, where does the issue lie on using someone else's? I guess the answer answers itself, or the question answers itself, but
I
um,
think it might be more along the lines of, let's say we have these systems that are lying out at various like game stores or Game Stops or whatever, like across the country.
yes,
And say, you know, they so they can make their money back instead of having the used game market out there. they just buy those up and then resell them as quote unquote new.
Hmm.
Think of it like that.
I can see that.
You can have a quote unquote used system that's being sold as new and, still feel like you're getting bent at that point.
Yeah, but that's a lot of what the refurbished market is you're getting a used system, but they call it refurbished to get the extra dollar out of you, and sometimes they do put a bit of work into it, but I'm not entirely convinced.
I'm not entirely convinced as well, but I did find the numbers for the 99 Xbox deal. For the 4 gigabyte 360 plus Connect, it's $299. With 2 years of Xbox Live for new gold members, it's $118. The total cost would be $417. That's just for the 4 gig model and the regular deal. That's in retail.
Yeah.
Regular retail. For the subsidized, I believe this is the one for the one that you're going in for.
Yes.
The cost of the subsidized deal would be 4 gig. The 4 gig model plus Connect is $99, plus 2 years of Xbox Live Gold for subsidized buyers, which is $380 for 2 years. The total cost is $479.
Hmm.
And then a discounted deal discount deal is 4 gigabytes, and the Connect is $275 at Amazon and Target. Rarely on sale as low as $199. Sometimes whenever you can catch the deals during like hot sales, like maybe like Black Friday or something.
Yeah.
And then the Live Gold, sometimes available at $2 for 2 months or $48 for a year from Amazon or Walmart, or $53 for 1 year from Target. You're looking there at $371. I found a thing on Amazon where they were selling discounted Xbox Live for 1 year for $35.99. I snatched that deal up because it's like, hey, my thing's coming up. It came up this month. I might as well go ahead and buy it now that way. And I saved like $25 altogether. So it's like, hey.
Yeah, don't knock it.
Don't knock it. So. But really, you're paying more money for this kind of a deal. The game system itself doesn't have a hard drive, and if you're like a casual kind of player, you may not want or need the Xbox Live Gold. So really, it's the yin and the yang. Do you want to be able to pay monthly for this thing and pay more, or would you rather just be able to save up and then just drop it all in one go?
I'm normally the drop it all in one go guy.
Yeah.
Save the money. Anyway, moving on to thinking of Connect, we got Skyrim's new Connect functionality. I don't know if you heard of this one. It's you can give orders to your companions, Mass Effect 3 style, like say, do this, do that. You can input your shouts without having to hit the button, allowing for more immersion. And I believe it also allows you to set up hotkeys, verbal hotkeys, to bring out specific sets of weapons and spells. Among when you say a word, boom, you got that weapon spell.
Let me put this as someone who is I'm a hardcore gamer at the heart.
Yes.
I'm not someone who wants to yell at my TV screen when I want to switch a weapon or anything like that. I'd rather push a button. Now, I won't not connect because, hey, you've got Dance Central. And hey, why not Dance Central? But I don't need this quote-unquote sense of immersion when I'm playing a video game to talk to my television at that point. It's more along the lines of, I'd rather just push my button and then have my Fusro Da gone, ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing I was thinking. If I had the Kinect for this, the only thing I would want to do it with is the shout function. Like, I would like to say Fusroda and just have him shout at the thing, but I'd also like them to remove the Dovahkiin's verbal part to it, so it's just the effect going after I say it.
Right.
Yeah, that bit of immersion. That's the only bit I'm interested in. In the later segment, we'll get onto Wii, and I'll bring up my immersion things with certain technology. But here, I don't think it's a horrible idea. I think it's like adding more buttons to your controller, kind of mouse and keyboardy, but verbal. And
No, no, no. That is a good idea. I give it that, and I will give props where that's concerned because it's like, hey, who doesn't want more keys to be able to press instead of just the regular 8 you have right there on your Xbox controller? Because I mean, you
yeah,
got your 2 triggers, you got your 2 bumpers, you got your 4 A, B, X, and Y, and then it's like start select. So it's like, hey. But really, I don't need the verbal commands to switch a weapon or anything like that.
hmm I think it's just for the fast though, because in Skyrim, a lot of it, the problem people have is the having to open up a menu and drag a weapon into your hand before you can get back to the combat, and this would allow you to do it faster. But I do believe, and I've never used this because I play the PC version, but I do believe they allowed you to either set the D-pad for that, or they gave you a hotkey function or a favorites function where you could bring up a smaller favorites menu and get the deed done faster, pull out your bow, whatever you need. I
Now, this
could
was
be wrong.
for your 360 version.
Yes.
I can actually find that out real quick.
All right. Um, while we're talking about that, move on. They're bringing mounted combat to the game, the ability to fight on horseback. And the problem I have with this is the horses are so weak. They mounted combat can become a liability, I believe, unless you're using the shadow mirror.
When it comes to mounted combat, you have to remember, it is a horse, and horses aren't really built for
Being hit. Yeah.
being hit. Really, they're kind of just used for let me charge into battle and swing the sword around.
hmm I think it would work if they introduced spear style weapons, and the ability to bow combat or magic combat from horseback is very viable. It's just running up and whacking someone with your sword, especially when I don't consider Skyrim's combat to be very good. It, I mean, it works, but it's clunky.
I would have to, and people will smite me for not playing it, but I would have to play the game before I could actually knock it. So,
Yeah.
because I mean, mounted combat's never really, really worked when it comes to gaming. So,
Like what's it? The Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors, I think, pull it off rather well. In that you could ride by a group of people swinging your weapon and knock them over and stuff like that. And it worked fairly well in those games. And I think it has a potential in Skyrim. Like I said, I think they need polearm weapons to make the most of it.
well, pole arms would be a viable weapon to use because that's what most riders, like back in the ages, would be like the spears and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, with a sword you have to get really close. With a spear you can hit and just keep on moving because a spear will knock a freaking hole in somebody's chest really huge. So
Exactly. That or the possibility of making the two-handed swords into single-handed swords, polearm style, for the sake of mounted combat.
that would work as well.
Um, but yeah, I like I hold similar to you. It's an interesting idea. I don't think I'd do it though, because you got to implement it well, or it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, you've got to play it first before you can really knock it.
And seeing as you haven't played Skyrim, I guess I'll have to answer this question myself. But the idea of Skyrim being worth the hype, I don't think it was. I think this game received too much love way too fast, and it overhyped the game. And to be fair, it overhyped the game after it came out, which is a lot better than overhyping a game before it comes out. But it still isn't as good as people would like you to believe it is. It's not bad, it's just not excellent either.
To go back real quick, for
Alright?
when it comes to changing the weapons, pretty sure if you had pretty sure if the favorite weapon or weapons that you had, they'll show up on the quick select list when you push up.
I see.
That's what a friend of mine just told me through Skype. So, and he's a long time Skyrim and Elder Scrolls player. So
Alright.
for that, I trust him. So
Yeah, makes sense. I've only
but,
I've played Morrowind, but that was a long time ago.
right, back to original statement.
The original statement was the hype of Skyrim. Really good game, just not as good as people want you to believe. It's not like Jesus come back to Earth good.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things to where everybody's gonna hype up a game, no matter what the game is. You talk to freaking Call of Duty fans, they're gonna hype up the next Black Ops 2 game that's coming out. They're thinking it's the second coming again every time. Every time it's the new Call of Duty game, it's the second coming. It's like, oh my god, it's gonna be so much better. And you play it for about 3 months, and it turns out to be shit. So, nah. I only had to buy.
I'm more interested in Black Ops 2 because they seem like they're trying to push the envelope and do something new, which would work because I think we're moving away from the days of the modern military shooter. Hopefully back into the days of the arena shooter.
I would hope we go back to the arena shooters. God, those were amazing.
Yeah, let's see. We got Nexu is out on Steam, I believe. And we're getting Shootmania by the guys who do Trackmania, and that game looks like it's going to be great. But I haven't played it, so I can't say much on it. It looks nice, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen how it plays.
But I mean, when you go to just about any game or just anything that's getting ready to come out, that's going to be like the next game in a long line of gaming series, whether it be something that's from a long time coming or just something that keeps coming out every year, people are going to be like, hey, it's the best one. Or, hey, this is going to be so great. Now we have this,
very
this,
true.
and this.
Like, Final Fantasy fans are big to blame on this one. I blame Final Fantasy fans for 13 being as bad as it was because I think Square Enix has grown complacent and used to putting out a mediocre product and people enjoying it.
I tried to play 13. I couldn't. I had to stop. It just didn't feel like Final Fantasy to me.
Linear paths, a click button and watch movie battle style.
Yep, that's not Final Fantasy to me. Give me the days when I had pretty much turn-based battle systems,
I'll
random
take the
encounters.
turn-based combat back.
Give me the days of like Final Fantasies 1 through 10 back. 12 was for me, but give me
the only thing
years.
I didn't like about 12 was the license system, very similar to Sphere Grid, where you can't equip a jacket because you haven't passed your jacket wearing test.
Give me my days of freaking Final Fantasy 7 and 6 back. 6 mainly, 7 after that, but 6 mainly.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for a remake of 7, but I would like it.
Well, the thing thing is, I've had a friend keep telling me when it comes to like, because every year I always predict, hey, Final Fantasy VII's coming. I'm always like, just like fingers crossed on that. He
Just
keeps telling me,
hopeful.
hey, they're not going to be able to do it because one of our people who comes through at my job, he said that it's going to be coming in Final Fantasy VII on the PS4
I
because they
could
don't
see
have
that.
everything they need for this PS3 generation. So it's like they want to do Crisis Core. They want to take all the games, compile them into one big game package, and then ship it with the PS4. So
Oh, that would be a great if they included that as a tie-in bonus for buying a PS4.
that's a day one buy for me.
Yeah, everyone who is big into it would become the Wii all over again. There just wouldn't be enough supply for the demand.
Give me that system, nah.
Exactly.
You'd have stabbings, you'd have shootings again. I still remember back in 2006 when that PS3 first dropped, and you had systems on eBay going for $25,000.
And that still isn't as bad as the Wii was. Um, Here in my local town, a the police were at the Walmart because people were trying to steal Wii's from people who were leaving the store.
Yeah, I remember having to back in December that the when it dropped back in November. I remember having to camp in Walmart on in December to get my system. I had to stay there overnight. It was not a fun. It wasn't very fun, but hey, I got my system. It still runs. I'm happy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've never done that for a system. I'm a late adopter on just about everything. Still haven't adopted the PS3 because there hasn't been a game that I really had to own it for. Like the Wii, I really had to own it for Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. The
that was
big go on.
no. I was just saying that was one of mine as well.
Yeah, and the big problem I had was that Radiant Dawn was different enough from a standard Fire Emblem that it didn't even make the purchase of the Wii worth it for me.
Well, there's also, like I said, there's also other games that you have for it in its actual library, like New Super Mario Brothers Wii, Donkey Kong Country, Returns,
If
um,
anything, I have Brawl for a party console.
Brawl, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I mean, there's a lot of good games for the system, but I digress.
Yeah, is it worth buying the system for those games is what it comes down to.
You can, and plus with backwards compatibility with the GameCube, if you have a GameCube or any of those games, you have those to go along with it. So
Oh, very
really,
true.
yeah,
It's the only console in this generation that has, I believe, perfect backwards compatibility with the entire library of the previous console, which is great because I'm getting irritated at companies getting rid of backwards compatibility.
and that's what really pissed me off about the PS3 because I thought about picking one up back in the day, but they discontinued the backwards compatibility with it, and it's like I would like to be able to go back to play my PS2 and PS1 games, and it's like, oh, if you've got a PS2, hook that up. Why would I need to just go through the hassle of hooking that up when I can just plug in one system and just do it right then?
I can't harp on Sony as much though, because at least they're still making PS2s.
Yeah,
Because
that is true.
which I have to. If you're going to make a new console with the same name of the previous one and not have backwards compatibility, you need to continue making the previous console because things break. Either
That
that
is
or release emulation software.
that is true. And plus, with you when you have things like the PlayStation Network, the Virtual Console, and like Xbox Live Marketplace, things like that, where you're able to buy the older games, make it to where you can actually transfer it up to the new system.
Yeah. If anything, especially with Xbox Live Marketplace, I want to be able to transfer my purchases I've made on my 360 to my 720 when I have it, because I have a
Yes,
lot of games that I'm not going to want to get rid of. And I
which
know my Xbox isn't going to last forever because it's got the most issues with hardware.
I think mine's been blessed somehow. I've had mine for about going on 4 years now. Not really had too much of an issue. Knock on wood as hard as I
Oh,
can.
I'm knocking on wood too because I've had mine for 3 years and it's still going well. It's got a bit of an issue with the disk drive and that it doesn't like to open if there isn't a disk in it. But I just keep a disk in it and it opens.
Yeah. But speaking of like the newer systems and moving up, that moves us into our next topic that I know you wanted to discuss, which was the Wii U,
Oh yeah.
which I already know is definitely going to be backwards compatible with the previous Wii system. And you are going to be able to, from what I remember correctly from hearing a update recently, you're going to be able to transfer your virtual console games and everything else up to the new Wii U system.
Are they going to be keeping the GameCube backwards compatibility, or are you going to have to hold on to your Wii?
That part I don't know yet. I think we've got to wait 2 weeks to hear about that at E3 to make sure we can confirm that we're going to be able to play the GameCube backwards compatibility as well. Because if so, I think with not only having the initial backwards compatibility with just the Wii and the GameCube, also being able to take your virtual console library and transfer it up, along with everything else that's already being piled into this new system, I think Nintendo's going to have the hottest seller and the biggest knockout
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to this E3.
Yeah, if they include all of that, it will be the greatest thing you could give early adopters because they're not losing anything.
They're not losing anything. They're looking at gaining almost everything when it comes to the new system. I mean, I know there's rumors, but we don't have the actual factual operating system as of yet. There are rumors that are
Yeah.
circulating around that it's already supporting DirectX 11 and running the Unreal 4 engine, which the Unreal Engine in general is one of the pinnacles in almost any big name franchise you can think of right now.
Hmm.
Mass Effect, Batman, Gears of War, um, just about any game you can probably pull out of your library. There's some game that goes, or there's some Unreal Engine to it.
Yeah.
But there's also the touchscreen controllers, which that comes with it.
I find the controller the best part of this story because it's a return to standard form of controllers, and they're actually innovating. Like the motion control of the Wiimote, I never felt was an innovation because we've already had motion control. It might have been bad, but we already had it. Whereas with this new controller, I'm seeing so much possibility, like the ability to add like macros and extra buttons to the touchscreen if you're not using it for the ability to just have the game playing on the screen.
Yeah, and plus you can add like you can add the actual map onto the little screen, and uh,
Oh,
you
I'm
can
thinking of
add.
a Fatal Frame game because this thing supposedly has a camera on the back.
Mhm.
Imagine a Fatal Frame game with that.
Well, also another thing that came up when I was watching GeForce Feedback. Think if they had the Luigi's Mansion 2 come out for the new system. I know it's coming out for the 3DS, but think if it came out with the actual system as well. You can hunt ghosts with it, like move the thing around
Hmm.
and do it like that. If you wanted to really, really sell people on it, like really get people to buy it day one, make a new Pokemon game for it. I'm all for Pokemon Stadium 3, to be honest.
Pokemon Stadium 3, Pokemon Coliseum 2.
Something
Give
along
people what they
those,
want.
something along those lines, to where you can have it to where like when it's being implemented with the 3DS right now for Black and White 2, where you can move the controller around your actual room and quote unquote catch Pokemon.
That
That'll
would be great for a Pokemon Snap game, like an augmented reality Pokemon Snap.
that would sell people so quickly. Because
Yeah.
it's like, wow, I'm actually playing Pokemon Snap now. Clonk, give.
Oh yeah, I would kill to just have an augmented reality Pokemon Snap. I don't know how they would do it because I've not actually seen any of the programming behind augmented reality, but that would be really cool to just look through the screen and see Pokemon walking around your house.
Hey, it's like, hey, here's an idea. If anybody, anybody from Nintendo's listening, here's an idea, free idea. Here you
Yeah,
go.
here you go. We are a free idea bucket.
And then, okay, there's also the console will have 2 gigabytes of RAM, 560 megabytes dedicated to the operating system.
Yeah, that I heard that it was supposed to be a huge operating system, and the point I'm wondering is why particularly is it huge? Like, this is the one I wanted to know. The Wii U controller, they were initially saying they'd only be one per console of the touchscreen controller, but you could have the Wiimotes as the other three controllers. Would this huge OS mean the possibility of more controllers per console?
I would say probably open the door for it, or more or less just open it to where developers can, cram more things into a game. Because
Hmm.
I mean, if you take a look at, just the regular Wii system, a lot of big name companies wouldn't really touch it because of how small and compact the original Wii was.
Hmm.
Because I mean, hey, there's not really much there you can work with. Now with this,
And you had to really downgrade a lot of things. A lot of games suffered when they got ported over there.
think of it like this. Now you've got this new operating system that's much larger, much more able to um, and cram in more data and everything else to the system. You can do pretty much just about anything with it,
Hmm.
and that you can also not downgrade your graphics to where it looks pretty much like previous generations along the lines of like GameCube or even 64 generation kind of graphics. You don't have to do that anymore. You can upgrade it to where it's running at PS3 grade and higher. Which, from what I'm seeing, is that Assassin's Creed 3 is going to be running at 60 frames per second at 1080p compared to 720p on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. I know there are a lot of graphic people out there who are huge graphics people who are like, oh my god, graphics, nah, gimme.
I wonder about the frames per second because who is going to realize a jump to 60 frames per second normally? Because a lot of people who play consoles are sitting the room away from their TV, so it's not going to be a huge move for them. It's only going to really be noticed by people who are sitting right in front of the TV screens, burning their eyes.
Or people who actually pay attention to the frames in a game. Say a fighting game. Uh,
Oh, very true.
a fighting game gamer is going to really notice that right off the bat. So,
Yeah, because they're paying so much attention to the details of
yeah.
what's going on.
Now, some of the developers that are going to be coming onto it, Cryotech, EA, and one of the interesting ones that really caught my eye was Valve working on this new system. Potential talks of maybe Valve developing a Steam system for the new Wii U. Hey,
That would be interesting. Like to see them iron out the bugs with the PC Steam first.
well, it doesn't matter like which system you're really going to go to. Any system that you have where it goes with like anything like Steam, Xbox Live, PSN, virtual console downloads, you're gonna have maybe some bugs.
Yeah,
So you can't iron everything out, but you can try at least.
yeah. At least I get a update at least once a month, so at least they're trying.
Yes.
I'll
I
give
mean,
them that.
a lot of companies don't even want to try, so that's good. Now, the price thing, that's what kind of sort of breaks me. With this rumor, they said 350 to 450. I don't think Nintendo could go that high and expect people to really, really shell out the money for it right now. If you really want to sell this console, 299, maybe 249 if you can get it that low, but
Yeah, I think 300 is the glass ceiling for the price on this
Hmm.
because all in all, it's still a Nintendo console. It is still the kiddie demographic of console. So they're looking at children, and by that, they're looking at the children's parents. So you
Yeah.
can't be over the top.
And also, they're also trying to reel back in the core gamer with this system. So, because I mean, they felt alienated with the Wii when it came, the core did when it came to the Wii system because it's like you kind of sort of went to the kids on this one, having all this crappy shovelware.
Yes.
So, really, if you really, really want to sell this, you're going to have to not only demograph to the core, but you're really going to have to just sell big time. Have they opening, like,
You've got to get the console out there and get people playing it.
you've got to have it to where people can have that big, big console library right from the start. You can't come out like you did with the 3DS. You can't come out limping out of the gate. You've got to come out really hard and really strong.
Oh,
Have
very
the
true.
Mario, have the Zelda, have the Pikmin, have something that's going to come with it so that people will latch onto this right from jump.
Yeah, like we said with the PS4, you got to include something that makes people want to buy the game. And a lot of consoles and handhelds have been just falling flat on their face in this for the last 10 years. You not since the PS2 have we seen a really excellent starting lineup of games.
Yeah, and that's what kind of sort of that's what really disappoints a lot of gamers is when you don't have something that, well, at least from what I've heard, it'll disappoint a lot of them. But,
Yeah.
like for me, when I bought the 3DS right from the jump, I didn't even buy a game with it that night. I went ahead and just decided to say screw it and buy Street Fighter 4 a couple days later. But really, I was buying it for the long term. And
Yeah.
it kind of broke my spirits when I had the system and I heard that it dropped in price. But when they said, hey, the people who bought it early get an ambassador code and get 20 free games with it, it's like, well, that's a worthwhile investment.
Exactly. Um, and that's my thing against the PSV, the PS Vita. I want to get one, but there's just no games, and there won't be any games I want to play for it until this fall with Persona 4 the Golden.
So I take it you're not an Uncharted fan?
I am not in that my friends have really overhyped that game, and the only way it just can't live up to it. Plus, I don't have a PS3, so I haven't had a chance to play it.
Well, as you know, I know that game trailers released this week that on June 26th, the Uncharted 1 and 2 will become available as downloadable through PSN. So if you pick up a PS3, I know you can get 1, 2, and 3, boom, right there.
Yeah. They're definitely games I want to check out. I'm not sure how much I'll like them because of how much they've been hyped, but I can see myself becoming a fan because main character voiced by Nolan North. Everyone loves Nolan North. Not much to dislike there.
Normos is an amazing voice actor. I mean, he's Nathan Drake, Commander Shepard, and I believe he's Desmond as well in Assassin's Creed. So he's a very busy man.
Yeah, but it's easy being Desmond because Desmond is one of the boringest people in the galaxy.
All he has to do is sleep that Animus.
That's why I didn't like Revelations. I don't feel that anything happened in that game. I'm not even going to review it because that was a placeholder game. They wanted to put something out more with Ezio in it, so they decided to make a story in which nothing happened, so that you could play around with your Italian some more.
Yeah, right before Assassin's Creed 3 can really come out this later this year, which that's already looking good. That'll be saved for another time. So
I'm still waiting for them to take my idea, which is for Assassin's Creed, since they've already revealed Assassin's Creed 3. I'm thinking a future Assassin's Creed game, it'd really be fun to play as a psychopathic serial killer who doesn't really have a creed and whose legacy only continued because he raped a woman.
That's a little crazy, but hey, I mean, they can make
It would
anything work in this day and age.
exactly. It's all about being different yet the same. Similar gameplay, completely different story, and different reason for doing what you're doing.
You never know.
Exactly.
But we can move on to Halo 4.
Yes, Halo 4, I'm going to get to the third point first. Is this I'm starting to wonder the more I see of it whether it's just Microsoft milking a franchise as much as possible to make as much money because it looks interesting, but it doesn't look like they've changed anything.
I think that's what they probably did. They probably pulled like a sleight of hand trick. It's like, hey, look, Master Chief's back, and then just to make it to where you can get the freaking paycheck. Because I mean, I know there were a few people who were disappointed with Reach because like the multiplayer and whatnot. So you make a new game, try a new thing, and with a new company because Bungie left and joined up with Activision. So why not get someone to maybe come in and do another Halo game? Just see what they can do with it. Bring some new fresh air and fresh breath into it, so to
Yeah, I
speak.
know they've got one of the writers from the early Mass Effect games in there, and I'm while I do think they're milking it now, I do think that there's a possibility for this franchise to evolve into something greater. With the Spartan Ops, where you I believe it's called Spartan Ops, where once a week or so you get these multiplayer missions to do that continue the story, and um, in a way, it's a giant marketing blurb where you just keep getting Halo back into the news because of a new Spartan Ops.
It's a good idea because it's like, hey, the more more you can kind of like shove this out there and get people talking about it, get people to play it, showing it off. It'll draw people in,
And there's
and
always going to be people who like Halo because of the Master Chief. It's very much a frat boy demographic for the multiplayer. So even if the story goes sour, you're still going to have a lot of people playing it.
you're gonna have a lot of. Well, I would say more along the frat boy mentality goes to the Call of Duty players. I would say more. This is more along the lines of like the people who aren't frat boys, but uh, they're not the
Casual.
hard, they're not the casual or the like frat kids. They're more along the lines of
MLG. Or at
they're
least think they're
yes,
MLG.
thank you. That's the name I was looking for. Like the MLG kind of players. A lot of them I know they're big Halo fans out there. So it's kind of catered toward them if you think
Hmm.
about it, but you also have those between like the diehards of the Halo franchise and the just, people who would pick it up and play it casually for a little bit. You're going to have those players who want to play it almost all the time because I mean, Halo does have some definitive multiplayer, don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed playing it when I played it, but it's one of those things where first person shooters for me have just become so the same.
Yeah.
It's point,
Uh,
click, hi, dead.
yeah, that's when I play Reach multiplayer. I play the SWAT game type just because I feel that I'm getting the most skill out of that at the end of the day because it's pop someone in the head from extreme range if possible, if not round the corner, pop them in the head. Anything else feels like it's just gets way too repetitive. Like you would think shooting people in the head gets too repetitive, but it's the most fun I can get out of the game.
And not only that, it feels more realistic, I would say.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
like you're getting a more realistic experience and feel from it. So,
very true.
but there's also, people who are like, hey, video games aren't played to be realistic, and that's a whole other debate. But,
Oh yeah, I'm I'm one of those people. It depends on the game, though. Some games I want to be realistic in a certain way, whereas others let it slide.
Yeah. With Halo, you can really let it slide because it's,
It's a
sci-fi.
science fiction, yeah. Um, Getting on though, the idea that they're not doing a legendary edition this time. For people who don't know, the legendary edition is the standard $150 edition where you get everything you would get in like an $80-$100 collector's edition, plus like a statue or something that really makes it worth the money you're putting into it as a collector's item. And they've decided that they're not doing it, and the reason for it is they've decided that they don't want you to have to pick and choose which edition you want, and I think that's bogus.
Bogus and a bad idea. A lot of people will even, at least from as far back as I can remember, when it came to Halo, there was always that choice of the collector's edition and the legendary collection. Almost always there. But it's one of those things where also maybe they're kind of sort of taking the approach of, we have a pretty crappy economy right now, so maybe it's a good idea to hold off on that. Maybe just have it to where you have the standard edition and we'll just say, hey, we're doing it just because we don't want people to pick and choose and just sweep the real idea under the rug.
Yeah, I can see that. The one thing, this kind of looks like a legendary edition. Normally, a legendary edition would include like a Spartan helmet or a statue of some kind. But this one, other than that, it seems to have the content. You get download codes for extra maps that will eventually be available to the public. You also get customizable skin options, and then like a classified folder of documents, which for a collector is going to be really cool, and it's $100, and you're getting a good value from the looks of it. I don't have my hands on it, so I can't say.
It's one of those things where if like you're a big time Halo fan and you're someone who is a collector of all of the Halo memorabilia, yeah, this is going to be something for you. But for those who may not be like the greatest or just don't really care about the mythos, it's a good idea not to put your foot in your mouth if people aren't going to shell out the 150 for it. I mean, there's always going to be the market that shells out the 150 for it, so.
Oh yeah, I was in that market. I'm not big into the Halo story, but I'm big into collectibles, and like I've got the Reach statue above my monitor right now.
Yeah, like for me, I'm a huge Gears of War fan, and when I heard that the Gears of War 3 was going to have the Marcus statue bust hand painted thing, I definitely bought into it.
Huh. Yeah, that's why I jumped on the Duke Nukem Collector Edition, because I knew Duke Nukem Forever was going to be bad, but the Collector's Edition was perfect for a Collector's Edition. It had everything you could want. It was essentially a Legendary Edition, but it was cheaper. It was very nice.
And so maybe that's another idea that they kind of sort of thought of. It's like, hey, people bought this when Duke Nukem was out. Hey, maybe we can cash in there too.
Yeah, entirely.
So you never know. I mean, it's the gaming industry. You can never predict one thing from the next.
Yeah, because there's always a profit motive behind it in the long run, so you have to look at that, but there's always factors you can't see, and making judgments can make you look like an ass.
Yep. You know what they say about assuming.
Oh yeah. All right. Moving on. This is a personal topic that I chose, and it's the musing of the future of MMOs. And I'm starting to see that if you come out with a World of Warcraft style MMO, you are dead in the water. World of Warcraft is the only MMO that can stand up like that anymore. Like, look at the Old Republic. It is dying,
Yep.
and it is dying fast. I give it 6 months, and it'll be free to play.
I give it a little bit less time. I'll give it about 4 months. Give it till like the kids go back, or at least everybody goes back to college, and because I mean, like, take a look now when it comes to like the massive multiplayer games right now. Some of the biggest ones you have are like World of Warcraft, Diablo. Now that it's out, and you also have League. I mean, League of Legends, it's free to play, and look at the user base that it has. I mean, Jesus criminy.
Hmm.
I
Looking to the future, though, thinking of games that could be huge and are going to be free. PlanetSide 2. Have you ever heard of the original PlanetSide?
To be honest, no.
It was a free-to-play MMO FPS, massive multiplayer online first-person shooter. And the idea was there are three armies fighting for control of the world, and you can have so many players on each continent. And the idea is that the battle is constantly raging whether you're playing or not.
Good
And
idea.
the sequel is coming out, and from what it looks like it's going to be 180 to 200 members per army per continent. And I'm not aware of how many continents there are going to be, but they really give you a good sense of scale because it like an MMO, you have to travel from battlefield to battlefield. So you and your friends pile into a tank and you go to the next area. You're not going to see a lot of conflict. Like someone might shoot at you in the distance, but and then you get there, and they put a lot of effort, it looks like, into making it a very interesting, one of a kind experience. Like the idea is that you're part of an army, and that's what they're going for, and it looks great. And um, I'm not saying that that's the future. I just want to point that out as something to look forward for in the future. Um,
I I can say this, that if you do it right, like if they do that properly and it works, that's going to be one of the like water cooler topics of many game companies. It's like, hey, did you get to play this? No, check it out.
oh yeah, it. I see it being very popular. The reason I don't think it was popular, I mean, it was fairly popular, but the reason you didn't hear a lot about it is because PC gaming wasn't as accessible before. Like, it is becoming excessively cheaper to buy and put together a gaming rig, um, and that is making high fidelity computer gaming really easily accessible. And I think it'll make PlanetSide 2 very successful. And I think it could not. I'm not going to say it's going to rival World of Warcraft because it'll be a different experience, but I think it will get World of Warcraft's sized numbers in how many people are playing it.
If they do it right and they do it well, yes. But if it's one of those things to where if people are talking and saying, this is something debatable and not very put together well,
Oh yeah,
you get people who are instantly turned off by it.
oh yeah, they have really got to make it nice. Like it's got to have good mechanics, um, and they really have to sell it well. And by sell it, I mean market it. Like get the word out, get people playing it, and it's going to be free to play. And I'm wondering how they're going to make money off of it. Like there's got to be a like freemium system where you can buy certain things, and I'm wondering exactly um, what you would buy.
Well, take a look at League of Legends. That's the main thing I can really relate to is when it comes
Skins and things like that.
skins, potential other characters, maybe better guns, just anything. I mean, this is an industry that's really
Well, they
growing.
wouldn't want to do better guns because that would become a pay to play model, but maybe
True.
side grade guns that have different functions that you might find attractive.
Like incendiary ammo or something along those lines.
Yeah,
That could work.
yeah. Um, like I saw gameplay recently that was a they call it a max unit. You're essentially a mech, um, and you've got two different guns that you can customize, and I could see them allowing you like 6 guns or 6 types of guns between machine gun and flamethrower, and then having like 10 extra ones that you'd have to pay to unlock. It would allow for more customization, and they would make a profit off of it.
It's a good
It seems
idea.
like, yeah, it seems like a good idea. I hope this game is successful just because the idea is so interesting. I really want to see this, and I want to play it.
If you want to like a real actual quote unquote WoW killer, I hate it's one of those things where it's like it would be like a fanboy dream, but it's like, hey, Nintendo, Pokemon MMO, let's go.
Oh yeah, I could see a Pokemon MMO killing the market because it's very popular, it's very child friendly, but at the same time, adults seem to love it. You got everything you need right there. And
Exactly.
it's not very hard to implement either because the Pokemon style would work for an MMO because it's all about gotta catch 'em all. Just control the rarities of Pokemon, and you have people hooked.
And plus, not only that, you implement a PvP system.
Oh,
You know,
entirely, yeah. If
so it's like
anything, just go on the idea of if you're facing the same direction of someone who's so close to you, boom, battle time.
let's go. Hey, Pokemon MMO, let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to see that. I
I'd
don't think we will see it, but it's a great idea.
I'd pay money for it, and I'd probably get kicked out of college because my grades would be complete shit from it. So
The other idea was Guild Wars 2 seems to be bringing a new system that I hope people um, get on. In that the WoW style is that you press a button, your character does something, the opponent's AI or whatever figures out whether it actually hits or not, and then you do it again. Whereas Guild Wars 2 seems to be going for a skill based thing, whereas you have to actually dodge, you have to be aware of where attacks are coming from so you don't get hit as much, and more of an active style of gameplay. And with also not as many key bindings because you don't have as many skills, and the skills you do have are more unique.
that could work. It's one of those things to where I've got to play it to
Play
see
it to see
it
it.
work. So, you know.
Yeah, it's I've got into the beta a bit. It was, from what I played, it was interesting. I can't say it was great, but I liked where they were going with it.
So it's a good idea, something that you can see possibly getting implemented in other games if companies possibly pick up on it.
Yeah, and if it takes off, I could see it. Probably not Guild Wars 2 itself, but I could see the style being the thing that killed World of Warcraft finally. Because
I
go on.
Go ahead.
I see World of Warcraft as showing its age by the Mist of Pandaria and their idea of putting out a new expansion every 18 months. It's like they know that the game isn't as worth playing anymore, and they really need to pump content in to keep people interested.
It is one of those things, and plus it's one of those pay to play games as well. So really, they're making their money. And I mean, this is the company that sold a $25 horse to people and as DLC, and you had people clogging up the servers. So really, I can't say that WoW is technically like a dead game, but it's one of those things where it is showing its age.
Yes. Like, and I'm not gonna say that it's dying. For all I know, it could be turning into the old sage and becoming like the finicky old man.
But it's
Um,
not telling people get off its lawn just yet. So
yeah,
really,
yeah. So
it's
we'll have to wait longer, but I'm noting a trend at the moment.
yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
it's just nobody can really top it. It's a really good system that has caught on with a lot of people. So it's really almost unstoppable.
Mhm. The what I note that's unstoppable about it is the idea of building an account and just working on it so long, and you just don't want to leave because you feel like you've wasted your time. It's almost like a trap, the old Admiral Akbar thing,
It's a
that you
trap.
yeah, you've been trapped into World of Warcraft because you've spent so much money into your account and you've spent so much time on your account that you just don't want to leave.
Yeah,
And
that's what'll get people.
yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing keeping people there at the moment. Then of course there are the people who spend hundreds of dollars for their cards so they can get a ghost tiger mount. Those are the ones that scare me.
Just if you're spending like $1,000 into a game, a one lone game, you kind of scaring me.
But then again, you got to note that it is the only game a lot of these people are playing. There are a lot of people who consider themselves hardcore gamers who only really play World of Warcraft because it's the only thing they have time for.
I don't consider people who play just one game, one solo exclusive game, hardcore gamers. I consider
Oh,
people who
neither do
play.
I, but they probably do, and that's why I mention it.
I understand.
Let's move on to the last segment. We got a Q&A here. Asked people to give us a couple questions. First question is, who do you believe benefited more from the Steam Origin split? Would it be better for the two companies to come back?
Depending on who you ask that question to, really. Because, I mean, Steam in and of itself is a really genuine good system. There's a lot of great sales at certain times where you can pick up great games for a really cheap price. And also, there's things like Team Fortress 2 right now. So, I mean, Team Fortress 2 is free to play right now. That is like freaking happy crack for any person who plays Steam. And that game is so fun by the looks of it. I can't play it because my laptop is crap. Makes me sad.
Oh, like I
So,
said, gaming rigs are pretty cheap to build. I built mine for just over $1,000, and you could probably make something comparable for less at this point.
yes, but the thing is you're saying that it's cheap, and I'm a broke little shit. So, really, I can't put like that much money into a computer
Get
right
a
now.
job, son.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. The market is a biatch.
Oh, it is. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying, when you get the chance, I highly suggest going to Newegg and picking out your components, building
Plan
something.
I plan on at least building a better computer than what I have right now. That's for dang sure. I mean, my laptop it's good, but I could use something a little bit better. But anyway, back on topic.
Yes. Um, for me, I think it's a rather bit of a no-brainer because Origin isn't bad. It's not as good as Steam is because Steam is a compilation. Like you said, it's got the sales, it's got all kinds of games on it, and the only thing Origin has is EA stuff. And a lot of the EA stuff is on Steam still because of contracting issues. Like you can get the first two Mass Effect games there, go get Mass Effect 3 on Origin. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that would get annoying.
Ultimately, for the second part, I think they should just fuse back together because I don't think EA's making itself any fans with Origins, and it is irritating a good amount of people. And I don't think they're making any more money off of it, except for maybe the fees they would have to pay to Steam to host their stuff.
It's one of those things to where I think they're using Origin mainly for people who are buying games off of the used market. So I can't necessarily say that that part is the main factor, but you know, it could be just the console the quote unquote console version of Steam just being Origin.
Yeah.
So you take the good with the bad, so to speak.
Yeah, because I can understand their wanting to kill off the used game market. Because as someone who's started buying everything new now, because if you look at it, places like GameStop are being horrible to the gaming industry because they're making profit hand over fist, and they're not paying any money back into the system. It's hurting the game makers so that they can have a profit.
Yeah, but it's not really hurting them all too much
Oh yeah.
as they try to proclaim that it is. Because,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not going to say it's killing them. It's not helping.
if you take a look at like a lot of the new sales that you see almost on a monthly to yearly basis for certain games and certain franchises, you see like just like from week or month one for certain games. Like I'll use this as an example because it is a good example. Call of Duty, take that for example. That's a multi-billion-dollar franchise because people are suckers and keep buying the game over and over and over on like week one and stuff. I mean, you see like 3 million copies sold week one, or maybe like, that's like recently with Diablo 3. 3 million copies sold week one, and that's brand new for $60. You take that, you got about 18 million going, or possibly more. My math is kind of off right now because I fried myself during college, but you've got a lot of money going back to the companies when they buy it new for $60. And really, this is not just one area that you're selling it to in the United States. You're selling it to a global market. So you're making that money back, so to speak. You could possibly make back your development costs and everything else. So really, you're not losing too much. Even I know even Michael Pachter, I know a lot of people don't like him very well as well, from what I've heard. But he even did this during one of his pack attacks, where he was talking about the GameStop market. And really, the used game market, it's a good thing. So for someone who, like me, I went and picked up like the Left 4 Dead 2 and Left 4 Dead 1 for $35 down at GameStop when I was able to find it after it had been out for a while. So things like Bayonetta, I was able to find for like $15. I mean, instead of paying $20 to $60 for certain games, being able to pay that cheaper price through either Amazon or GameStop or just any other place like that that sells used games.
Yeah, the budget gamer, which leads to a question of mine. Instead of cutting off access to certain parts of games for buying used, essentially punishing for used, would it not be better to find a way to incentivize people to buy new copies instead of punishing people for buying used copies?
Maybe lower prices, of course, but like instead of the DLC, like because when they do like the whole DLC day one thing, that is one of those things that I've seen catch on lately,
Oh yeah,
and
I hate that.
it disappoints people because it's just like it's on the disc already. Why not just make it to where you can unlock it if you
Oh
buy
yeah,
it new? There you
what was
go.
that? I think it was the newest Street Fighter game, or was it the Marvel versus Capcom? One of those games had a system in which they put the characters on the disc, but you actually had to pay for them later to unlock them as download packs.
I mean, things like that, and then there was the Gears of War 3 as well. They had uh, a lot of their DLC already on the disc. You just had to pay for the downloadable content, or like some of the weapon skins that were actually the weapon skins were on the disc, like the ones that are available through Xbox Live right now, like the electric,
Yeah,
deadly, cute, things like that.
that was
Are on the
what's it was.
disc.
I think they wanted $50 for all of the weapon skins unlocked day one. That, and I
3,600
believe they are
Microsoft
now
points.
letting you or they're now giving those skins away bit by bit in the DLCs. So
They're
I can
giving
see that irritating a lot of people.
they're having it to where people are getting new skins. Some of them aren't being unlockable or being put through the DLC, but it's one of those. If you would have thought a little bit ahead, you could have managed it to where I'm kind of rambling here because I'm trying to freaking gather my thoughts.
Hmm.
You could have had it to where, hey, do this in multiplayer, unlock this skin, or do this and unlock this skin instead of
Like have skin
DLC.
achievements.
Yes, have skin
Like
achievements.
make it hard to get, but again, a little incentive.
Yes, because like
Another idea for that would be to incentivize people to buy the new copies is you could not unlock the skins by doing those specific things unless you put in a code you got with a new copy of the game.
that's what
It
they're
would.
doing with the Origin and everything.
Mm,
That's why they have this whole, oh, you bought it used. Well, if you pay $10, you get everything else that was supposed to come in the game. If you would have bought it new, bad marketing ploy,
oh yeah,
but
I'm not saying to actually take away the multiplayer for this. My idea is to allow you to unlock these skins in multiplayer if you've bought new, and if you bought used, then you have to buy the skins.
could be an idea that you could implement, or just maybe if you buy used, you could still unlock them, but it'd be a little bit harder. Include like another challenge, or
Yeah, I could see that.
So really, it's give and take.
Yeah. And there's always people who are willing to shell out the money afterwards if they, because a lot of people buy used games because they want to see if it was worth it in the first place. Because there's a lot of people who, if they haven't played a demo, then they can't justify spending $60 on a game they know nothing about.
Yeah, and if the game's a dud, like a serious flipping dud, you don't want to shell out $60 and just feel bent over after doing it. And it's just like, wow, I
Oh
spent sixty
yeah.
dollars for this piece of shit. No.
Yeah, I think it was Bulletstorm. It felt like that. Like the story was good, the multiplayer was okay. It was not a $60 game. If it did not include the Gears 3 beta, it would have been a complete waste of money.
Yeah, that's I bought it because I mean, hey, I want a new first-person shooter experience, and Bulletstorm did give me that with the whole skill shot system and being able to set up your shots and stuff like that. But really, if you didn't include that Gears 3 beta incentive to get early access into the beta, then a lot of people probably wouldn't have bought it. But it was a good idea for Epic to do that because it's like, hey, you get into the beta, by buying Bulletstorm, you get in a week early before anyone else does, and you get, a Flaming Hammerburst skin. Sure, why not? And then everybody else who just goes and pre-orders Gears 3, you get the Lancer, then Sawed Off, then everything else. So, good idea, bad idea, but
Depends on who you're asking.
depends on who you're asking.
Yeah,
Someone
the
who's
next
always,
question. Um,
oh, go ahead.
Next question is, what are your thoughts about the massive number of hats in Team Fortress 2? And this is my thought. The hats that are made by players that they put into the game because they're just that good, generally fine with those. I'd rather you stick to the hats that the professional graphics designers designed. But here's my big thing. Where is Half-Life 2 Episode 3? You are spending time making hats for Team Fortress 2, and you're ignoring. I don't even know if they're ignoring it. If they might just be really good at keeping leaks about whether they're actually working on it coming out, but it's still frustrating.
That's the thing that could be like the big thing. It's like, hey, we're making hats out the behind. Guess what we're doing behind the curtain?
Um, just a little joke idea is another thing would be a funny tie-in is to have reveal that the hats for Team Fortress 2 were made by the Aperture Science for some silly reason. Insert silly reason here. It'd be a
we
nice tie-in.
we cross planetary did something, and well, this happened. So, but I mean, it's one of those things to where I know that the rumor mill is churning for Half-Life Episode 2. I know there's a lot of people who are just anxious and chomping at the bit for this new E3 because the potentiality for it to be there, and people are just going, we want it, we want it. And it's just like, eventually you have to give in. You have to give in to the market because people will want it so bad. They will, I mean, they've had people camp outside of their building and, protest for the actual game.
I actually think there will be an announcement at E3 because my theory is that they really wanted to get Portal 2 out to add some more lore to the Half-Life universe before they put out Episode 3 to lead them into Half-Life 3 itself.
But here's the thing. Is it gonna be a console exclusive, or is it going to be, all inclusive? Because I mean,
I don't think there's any way it'll be console exclusive because Half-Life started out as a PC franchise, and they would really alienate the PC audience by making it console exclusive.
that is true, but also think of the systems that you could possibly bring that out for right now. I mean, you can bring it out for Xbox, of course, and PS3, but think of it if like Nintendo gets up on stage and goes, "Hey, Half-Life 3 is coming to the Wii U." It's like, holy crap, that's a system seller.
It would definitely be a system seller, but I don't think it would be a smart move for Valve because, like I said, a lot of PC gamers do not want to deal with the hassle of owning a console, and that is a large percentage of Valve's user base, and they don't want to irritate those people. So I could see the game having specialized features on the Wii U that would make you want to buy it on that. But I definitely see a PC version being available.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, yes, of course, and that would drive sales, and probably it would most definitely be the biggest announcement shocker at E3 is like, hey, Half-Life's finally freaking coming. People
Half-Life's
rejoiced,
coming, and we're getting an excellent game on a Wii console.
and it's like everybody just like buckets everywhere have to be bought to fill the massive amount of the mess of fanboys everywhere.
And pants were shat that day.
Yes, that would be the big internet meme for 2012, and pants were shat that day.
hmm Let's see. Next question. Why has EA Sports not made a Need for Speed Underground 3 yet? You said that in your research you found it's because they're working on Hot Pursuit 2.
The actually during my research is that I found that just earlier today or yesterday on Friday that the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 is going to be making a debut at E3 this year. Because someone through Twitch TV leaked it, or it was leaked through Twitch TV, that it was one of the lists during Ubisoft's press conferences. So that's more than likely the reason, I would say, but don't hold me to it.
Yeah, a personal thought on it is I figured they might be working on another game, but I've also noticed that the racing industry has seemed to move away from street racing more towards realistic track racing, like the Forza series. And a lot of people want to see a Need for Speed Underground 3, but it's possible that they don't see the need for the game worth making it because they don't see a profit in it. yet.
Yeah.
And maybe that could be what they could test for with Hot Pursuit too, is to see if the water for this type of game is ready.
You never know.
Yeah, that's just a thought here. Uh,
It's a thought. I mean, you never know with game companies anymore. You never know what they're thinking.
mhm.
I mean, I know also another Star Wars franchise game coming out, so it's just like there's a lot to be held and a lot to be discussed.
Yeah, but that's not really news. There's always a Star Wars franchise game coming out.
Well, this is actually supposed to be a new franchise game or
Oh,
new.
and a new game starting its own franchise.
Yes,
Is it only that announcement, or was there any information on that?
that was it. It was
Ah,
just Spike TV's gonna hold the information uh, on its day one. I'm gonna say day one coverage.
oh, so another E3. That'll be worth seeing.
That's an E3 exclusive for Spike TV, so everyone's gonna have to tune into Spike. They want to know what is coming from LucasArts.
I'll have to hold you to that one then. I don't watch TV. I'm going to be trying to get as much information on E3 as I can from the internet.
I will keep everyone up to date as I possibly can.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
And this last question, it was asked over chat box, and I figured it was worth um, bringing up and explaining because a lot of people want to know this one, and it's a really good question, and it is what does it take to be a professional gamer? And I think the number one thing is commitment. You really have to want to game for a living for this to work because you have to put so much time into it, and you have to choose your game, whether it's League of Legends or Call of Duty or whatever it is. You have to choose something, and you really have to commit yourself to it. You have to become the best of the best at that game.
It's not just commitment either. You've got to wake up and realize as well. When it comes to professional gaming as a whole and as an entire entity, you have to realize you're not the best guy walking in.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of it is coming, if you want to be a professional gamer and you want to catch the eyes of a lot of people, you not only have to pay to get to these tournaments, you have to pay to get in to these tournaments.
Oh yeah, it'll take commitment, it will take money, and you've also got to build contacts because you're not going to just get up there, win, and people are going to say, "Hey, I want to play with him." You got to get up there, win, and then talk to the other people, and you have to build a network of
Yep.
contacts. And you just keep talking to people, you keep gaming, and eventually you'll get somewhere if you're good enough, if you've got the contacts. If you don't do these things, you are dead in the water.
It's not just walk in, hey, I'm the best here there is, suck my balls,
Yeah,
and
even if you are the best there, you've got to be willing to approach other people because gamers are generally finicky and not as willing to approach. So you have to take the initiative.
it's not along the lines of gamers taking the approach. It's more along the lines of companies not wanting to take the approach. Companies will want the person who they know is marketable. They
Oh yeah.
know they can make a market. It's like I can look at one person and be like, you're a marketable guy. I can see your stand up. You're a great player. I think you could wear my brand quite well. I
Oh
could
yeah.
sign you on to be a sponsor. I could sponsor you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're looking into sponsors, you have to really watch your attitude, and you have to look at your sponsors, you have to look who they're selling to, and your attitude has to reflect that. Like if say you're being sponsored by Nintendo, they go for a general family friendly attitude, and you have to be family friendly or they will ditch you.
And you have to be family friendly with almost any of the markets. If it comes to something along the lines of like XFS, Mountain Dew, or any of those big name sponsors that you hear about, you have to have that good attitude. You can't be, and pardon my French on this, you can't be a fucking douchebag and think, oh, they're my sponsor, they'll have my back, because they drop you like at the drop of a dime. Because they
Oh
don't
yeah,
care. It's like, you're just a jerk. Get out of here. We don't
exactly.
want
And
you wearing our brand and tarnishing our reputation.
yeah, and if you get kicked out by your sponsors, they won't have to worry about you joining another team, because if you get booted, someone else isn't as likely to want you, and you're probably going to downward spiral out of the game.
It's word of mouth when it comes to that big kind of business as
Mm-hmm.
well. I mean, I know I listen to another podcast called The Executives, hosted by Jason One Lake. He is one of the pinnacles of big names in the professional gaming league areas thing. And really, they explain everything from getting sponsors to, they give you the back door to what this industry of esports is really all about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to find out about that, I take a recommendation as to listening to The Executives every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. You can find their podcast on iTunes as well, so go through that means. Just listen to that. There are a lot of There's Jason One Lake. There's Odie from the Birmingham Salvo when they were part of the Championship Gaming Series. Can't remember the third host right off the top of my head, but it's almost freaking midnight, so.
Yeah.
And plus,
Actually, it's 12:30.
Yeah, they bring in a lot of guests for their show. They bring in a lot of guests of the industry, and they explain everything. So take a look into that if you really, really want to become a professional in the industry. And also, just check out other big-name professional gamers that you may know within various leagues. Like, for the fighting game, I recommend DOA Master and Adonde Swoozy Thorn. I recommend those gentlemen. They are really great.
Now, that's interesting. I discovered Swoozy recently. I had no idea he had connections in video games.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of connections, my man.
Yeah, I just started reading or watching his stuff. I hadn't discovered that. That will be interesting.
I've been watching him for about 2 years now, or hang on, back in 4 plus, because I discovered him back in about 2007. So I got my years all mixed up.
Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, you have to. It's all about your swagger. You got to be willing to play the part, and I normally say don't censor yourself, but if you want to go wearing somewhere in professional gamer, put your game face on.
Yeah.
Don't let them see you sweat. Be nice, be professional, be courteous, and be good at what you do.
Mhm.
And that'll take you far.
It's not easy though, so. Because I mean, you're going up against people who have been playing this for years, and you're walking in with the same kind of attitude that you have. It's like, hey, I want to be the best, and I want the sponsors, the money, everything. So you've got a lot of people you got to go through. It's not easy to get up there on the main stage and everything else and just compete. So.
And once you get there, you've got to stay there. So
Yep.
It is a career. It is a time commitment. You've got to be sure it's what you want to do. And even if you're not sure,
look into it.
Yeah, look into it. You might find that it's the kind of stuff you're into. A lot of people find that they're into that kind of grind, even if they didn't think so.
I mean, I know professional players, they play like 6 to 8 hours or more a day, so.
Yeah, that's a short day for me.
And not only that, but I mean, it's like that's just mainly on like casual kind of days. Dank on it. They play on casual days, really. I mean, when they're just warming up. When it comes time for the actual big tournaments, you're looking at 12 to 16-hour days with not only yourself but your team as well.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You have to be a team player because these are team events.
if you're playing a team event. Now, if you're playing something along the lines of a fighting
Yeah,
game,
if
like
it's a fighting game, it's completely different. But I think that's generally the exception to the rule. I can't think of another type of game where teamwork isn't the idea, unless it's like single player star or not single player, but one-on-one StarCraft.
1v1 on anything mainly.
Yeah, but generally the sports, the esports that have 1v1s also have their team elements like 2v2 StarCraft, team shooters of any kind.
Yep, team deathmatch in like Halo, Gears of War, anything. Call of Duty, you name it, if they've got a team-based thing kind of set up for it, it's there.
All right, well, this has been the Midnight Gaming Podcast. I have been internet personality Ginzaki.
And I've been Eddie Phoenix.
We will see you next time.